And now it is time for our In Conversation. And to get it started, please welcome our moderator, executive editor of Entertainment Weekly, Jared Hall.
Hello, everyone. How are you? We have almost made it. We are at the final event of 2023 SCAD TVFest, so thank you guys for coming out all weekend. Thursday counts as the weekend, right? Friday Junior? Sure, we'll call it that. As she mentioned, I'm Jared Hall, executive editor at Entertainment Weekly, and I also host our What to Watch and Award Us podcast, where we've talked about the show quite a bit, so be sure to check that out as well. And it is now my great privilege to lead this conversation with your 2023 Virtuoso Award winner, Wes Bentley. Welcome. Well, yeah, that was, she's right, that was quite an episode there. That fight with Kelly must have been quite fun.
I mean, it was fun, yeah, actually. A lot of years where it's gone the other way, or, well, I mean,
Right.
kind of went that way still. I still got beat up, but, yeah, I was thrilled when I read it. Thrilled not because it's easy to do those scenes, but thrilled because of his writing. There's always so much depth, and, you know, often with Taylor, I feel like I'm reading a playwright, and who has well established all the layers underneath, and I have to discover them, which I love to do. And so, you know, that scene was one of them. And Kelly's always amazing. So, and she was great in that scene. She was also like, it was a flip, you know, like we had a real flip. So, we had a great time with that scene, and she's just a great actor. So I'm lucky to feed off of her.
Yeah, really incredible actress. Okay, so Jamie's worried about her coming after him. He's going on the offense, figuring out how to take her out first. We know it'll be a few months before you come back, and I'm not asking you to divulge anything, but I'm just curious if you actually know what's going to happen when you go back yet, or has Taylor not even told you yet?
I truly have no idea. No, I mean, I know he does. It's just a matter of time before. I sort of take in the show through scripts, like you all take it in, or whoever watches it through the weekly series. So I'm waiting with bated breath too. I really want to know where this is heading. It's really exciting. But he takes his time, and it's for a reason.
Have any of you seen the movie Tar? I feel like we're sitting in that right now. At the very opening of the movie, the In Conversation with
totally
Lydia
agree.
Tarr. I mean, it will not go in that direction, the story. But yeah. Okay, we'll talk more about the show in a minute. A few other kind of side questions. I first want to note, maybe this was pointed out earlier, your parents are here.
Yes,
Which is really cool, and I'm sure special for them, but must be just as special for you.
Oh my God, yeah. I was really excited that they could come. They flew down from Arkansas, it's where I'm from, and they still live. And yeah, it was just really great. And they kind of went through the whole, you know, they've come to when I shoot on set, so they've seen that aspect, but they haven't really seen me do the
all
sort of
this
press, all this stuff. So it's been really interesting for them to see all that.
Very cool. Well, welcome. I'm glad you're here. Okay, not necessarily going back to the beginning, but the beginning of the bug that bit. You were in high school drama. You were interested in improv, studied that a bit, right? And then went to Juilliard. Do you recall the what you can look back and identify as the moment that you realize this isn't just something that is fun, but that I'm interested in pursuing as a career?
Ooh, I'm trying to remember a moment. I mean, yeah, it probably was in high school that, well, career is hard when you're in high school, right? Like, everything could be a career. I knew it was something, I knew it was my art, and I was looking for that. You know, I tried music and tried writing, and then I went into drama, and I did improv comedy, and I loved that, making people laugh. But it was really when we had these competitions. We didn't have the money to do plays at my high school, so we did these competitions. I don't know if anyone's done them, speech competitions. And so one of the categories is doing monologues, and they call it solo. And I worked on a monologue to go to the competition, and it was an intense experience. I had this like moment where I just understood falling into someone else. So, I'm going to sound really cheesy right now, but there's just this feeling of falling into someone else that was really trippy and weird, and it kind of felt like this. It felt deeper than it should. Meaning, I felt more attached to the character than I thought I should, and so it thrilled me, and I loved the feeling of embodying someone and delivering. And I remember going to that first competition, and it was just, I don't know, it's hard to go, words are hard, right? That's why I'm not a writer. But I was so moved by that feeling that I just wanted to explore it more and see what that was. What is that?
Well, by definition, a virtuoso is someone who excels in their specific artistic endeavors. So I'm wondering for you, on that road to becoming a virtuoso here, as proclaimed by SCAD, who's been, the inspiration, a mentor, your rock on that road?
Oh my gosh, it's been a lot of people who don't know they are that. It's been my parents, it's been my brothers, it's been all the actors I watched growing up, the comedians and the serious actors. But I think, oddly, the one that the person and their work that most inspires me is Vincent van Gogh. Again, to sound like a jerk, but I went to the Met. We talked a little bit at the SCAD earlier about finding how SCAD is really a space of art and how you can be moved by even just walking in the hallways. Well, I went to the Met for that at Juilliard. I went to Juilliard, and I went to the Metropolitan Museum of Art, and I went to see Van Gogh for the first time. And I saw the strokes. I saw how much he dug into the paint, and trying to get something out of him and into that paint. And I realized that's what I want to do. Somehow, some way, I need to get this stuff, this swirling stuff inside me to come out productively. And that's my guy. So I often go back and I look at his work when I want to be inspired again, and when I want to remember that what's trapped inside can get out.
Would you ever want to play him?
No.
Okay.
I don't want to do biopics. I'm afraid of biopics. It's hard to play somebody real. I also don't know when I watch him if I'm, I love history, so I'll just read the book about him.
Fair enough. Okay, let's get this one question out of the way, and then we'll dive more into Yellowstone. Lots of stories this week, lots of rumors. The show's ending, it's not. Kevin's leaving, he's not. Matthew McConaughey's in. We're talking to him. I guess really the big question I want to know is, can you even see a world where Yellowstone exists without Kevin Costner?
Honestly, any show can exist without their characters. I mean, if you're just thinking pure story. It's hard though. Kevin is he's the face of the show, and but luckily I'm not paid to think about these things, so I have no idea what it would in the real world what that means. I mean, I know creatively you can do anything, so that can be true. But like I said, I know that as far as all that's concerned, they're working on it. It's not quite what it seems, and they're working things out. And I have full belief that everything's going to be fine there.
As long as Jamie stays put.
Yeah, same here.
Yeah, right. Well, this show, the popularity, the ratings just continue to grow season after season. Not a lot of shows can say that, and it is become a part of pop culture in ways that very few shows kind of rise to that level. What has being part of all this meant to you?
It's been a real trip. I did a movie called American Beauty in 1999, and
we'll get to that.
And it was a big surprise hit, and it was a real cultural thing, right? I mean, the music was in commercials, and it was referenced in everything.
Poster, it
was iconic in a way of the time, and I had that experience, and this has actually been bigger. And when I grew up, movies were bigger. So you thought your big movies, your big thing, but now TV is its own beautiful thing. And it started interesting. The first group of fans that would encounter me, they were ranchers. They were people from the West, and kind of the group that you would think would be watching the show. But every season, it's been a new group, and it's expanded and been more diverse. And a lot of people in cities now, a lot of people who aren't into westerns or aren't into whatever. It just keeps getting bigger. I don't know why. I think it's, I mean, not to say that's not a quality thing or not. There's many great shows that don't get this kind of, But I think there's something in there that's really just people are attaching to. I guess later I will be able to try and explore it. But, when people come up to me, they give me therapy sessions. So it must be something deep.
Yeah, attached in ways even maybe they don't realize, for sure.
I think so,
Yeah. When you and I spoke a little earlier, you said that the show was presented to you as a Greek tragedy in Big Sky Country. So what is the aspect of that, the element of that you have relished most getting to dive into?
The relationship with Beth, for sure. And part also with John, but the relationship with Beth and that sort of classic tragedy story of family and all the complicated feelings and, borderline like attractiveness they had to hatred, to all of these odd, strange, convoluted, conflicted feelings. That's like gold for an actor. There's so much in there. There's layers and layers and layers, and you can go one way or the other, and he gives us that room. So yeah, that's when he said that. It wasn't in the first 3 scripts I got. The first season with Jamie isn't. There's a bit of that in there. There's the fighting, but the layers and layers below that really start to come out after 2. So I didn't even know how far it was going to go, and it's gone very far. Yeah.
Well, yeah, because I mean, you could have been gone a long time ago.
I thought I might be. I'm
I
waiting.
know there were a couple of moments I was like,
Yeah.
but he prevailed. Yeah. As lots of folks say, timing is, of course, everything, and getting to be part of this now when you are. I mean, if you look back, I don't know, let's say, first of all, the characters would have to be, I think, a little bit younger, but is this something that you felt you could have or would have even taken on a decade ago?
I think I would have. I don't think I could have. I think that, I know you were going to talk about American Beauty later, but we're going to refer back to it because I was young and I was 21 when it came out, and nothing else I'd ever done had come out. I had worked on other things, but it came out and people had such a positive reaction to that character and my delivery of it that I got stuck in it. And I thought, that's safe. They love that. I'm going to try to do that with every role. and I leaned into that too far, and I kind of lost my bravery, and I lost my ability to really expand, and breathe. And I think 10 years ago I wouldn't have been ready to dive in. It's taken a lot of out of me. I shouldn't say out of me. It's not gone. It's just taken a lot. I should say it that way. To play Jamie, it's I give everything to him. I give him my whole space and all my emotions, and even ones I didn't know I had. And I don't think I could have done that 10 years ago. I don't think I was ready to go there and still be stable.
Yeah, makes sense. All right, let's fire up the time machine a little bit. We'll go back and talk about some more of those roles. I want to go back to the first one. Correct me if I'm wrong here. Very first feature film was called 3 Below Zero, released in 1998. For folks who haven't seen it, tell us very briefly what it's about and what you would say was your takeaway from that experience. That's how I'll word the question.
I couldn't even hear after you said, for those who have seen it, who haven't seen it, nobody's seen it.
Yeah, nobody's seen it. Got it. Enlighten us all, please.
Yeah, no, sorry. So it's it's a story about 3 people in New York. It's set in New York, and their apartments, they share an apartment building, and they are stuck in the laundry room in the basement together. And it's just kind of about the different types of personalities in New York. And I'm kind of going to shake my way through this. I can't remember everything. There's some trippy, weird stuff to it. And but it was actually really great because I was coming out of theater school, and it was really a dialogue-driven piece. And I was able to do that and I think that's maybe why I was able to get the role, just the ability to dive into the dialogue. And yeah, it's a very small movie. Kate Walsh is in it, and we had a great time shooting it. Yeah, it was. It got me going very early. Got me a mid-level, low-level agent. Got me getting into audition rooms in New York and stuff. So I'm very grateful to have been a part of that.
Do you think that contributed anyway then to the very next year American Beauty came out?
Yeah, and actually in between there is a story that I guess it doesn't always fit into all this, but I actually, after that, and got those agents, I really bounced up quick to an agent who got me into a room to read for a role that was shooting in my home state of Arkansas, when it was starring Antonio Banderas and Bob Hoskins and Ellen Barkin, called The White River. Oh, it's just called The White River now. It used to be called White River Kid. I read like 8 times. I worked so hard to get that role, and I got it. And that was the summer after I shot that first movie, I think, even. It just happened fast, and I went back to Arkansas. I shot that. I was the lead in it. I thought it was going to be the big thing. And then I got lucky. Right after that, I booked American Beauty, and it happened to come out first.
Got it.
And as good as the role was in White River Kid, if it had come out first, I don't think the impact would be the same for American Beauty, because I think part of what moved people with that role is they didn't have any idea who I was. And it was really like out of nowhere for them. And so, I'm grateful that it did end up coming out first for that reason, for the audience's sake.
Yeah. So then, American Beauty, 1999, Ricky Fitz. When was the last time you watched that movie?
It's been a long time.
Has it?
Yeah. I think I've caught moments on TV at times when I'm flipping through, but the last time I sat down and watched it was probably 2009. Yeah.
Okay.
I remember watching it with my now wife. She was my girlfriend then.
Got it. Okay. All right. And I know you have a couple kids. They're not old enough to see it.
They've seen bits of it.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm not gonna show them the whole thing.
No.
No, you say no.
Wouldn't advise
you.
Yeah. Don't recommend. But someday,
Most of
I
my
think they'll be
stuff.
very proud of Dad's work.
The only one I've done that they really can see is a Pete's Dragon, which is a Disney movie, and they've only watched it once. So my kids are not interested in me as an actor, I don't think.
Someday.
That's a good movie too.
I love Pete's Dragon. It's great. Yeah. But American Beauty. I mean, obviously, we know the impact on you, your career. But is there any specific lasting memory that it's just like that day I will never forget?
Chris Cooper, scenes with him. He played my father in it, and
the Colonel.
The Colonel. Yeah, the scene where he busts in and beats up Ricky.
Yeah.
Chris was off in another room yelling, and in this worked up space, and I remember him off in that room yelling, and I was like, wow, this is amazing and distracting. But then I remember the moment of thinking, no, I need to use this, and I listened to him do that, and it was working for me. I was scared, and I was intimidated, and I'm going to use this. And so when he came busting through the door, I was able to take that. It was kind of one of those moments where I realized in acting, you got to use everything. You can't limit your ideas. You really have to sometimes, and often they're coming to you, and you can't reject them, right? Even if it doesn't fit your comfort level or whatever. Acting is not about comfort. It's very uncomfortable. And so you know you're doing it right when it is, at least in some roles and situations, when it is uncomfortable. Actually, I'd say all of it. Comedy's uncomfortable. It's nerve-wracking. You don't know if you're going to get a laugh. And you got to embrace that discomfort. You got to embrace the idea that this is going to be an awful day. It's going to be 14 hours of just torture and emotional angst. And that day is kind of that day. And that has been useful throughout. Just take what is given to you, through the actors or through the people behind the camera. Sometimes their energy will feed what you need.
The Hunger Games. 2012. 2012. I don't know why it feels like it shouldn't have been a decade ago, but yeah. Seneca Crane, obviously a huge movie, and an equally huge worldwide marketing and promotion campaign for that. A decade on, with the hindsight you have now, how do you view that experience? Not necessarily the filmmaking, but everything that came with it.
That's a great question, because it was a great film to shoot. I mean, I loved getting to know Jennifer Lawrence at that time. Was really fun. She was just had all this inspiring energy herself, and everyone who worked on it was great. But the experience of it coming out, I knew about the books, but I was too old to really understand the impact the books were having, and I was amazed that literature was driving it. That's what was really exciting to me. That kids were really reading it first. I know Harry Potter's similar, but the fact that the book was driving it, I thought was just it made me giddy and happy. That the kids were moved by both, And what's cool about it too is for people who read it and then they watch it, Seneca Crane, there's more in the film than he had in the book, and that was really nice of them to do. And then I think I really didn't have to do anything because the amazing makeup doing the beard was did all the work for me. I didn't have to do a whole lot. And that had its own Twitter account. I didn't even have a Twitter account, and my beard had a Twitter account.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
that
happens. Yeah. I mean,
draw it on myself.
Yeah.
If he's too talented, I couldn't do that.
Yeah. Wow. But that character, like you said, was expanded. As the game maker, the architect of all of the kind of sinister stuff going on there, what kind of conversations did you guys have about? Obviously you were not yourself designing the games, and getting into the nitty gritty of all of that, but just to understand where the heck this guy's head is, because I know you want to judge the guy. There's an intent here, but I don't know if I want to know that intent if I'm an actor.
That's yeah. I actually would play it with a lot of stuff with him. I thought, because I knew about how the stories go on, I thought there could be something in him that had to do with the subversion. And other fans had that theory too, that maybe he had a bit to do with the subversion at an early stage before it was, more of a thing. So I played with that a little bit. But really, that was a challenge, because everything I saw was just a green screen, throughout, and I had not seen any of the footage. I had no idea what the kids were up to or what they were doing. I was just going off of the words, and so that was a bit of a challenge to picture in my head how it was actually looking. Yeah,
and it looked amazing.
It did look amazing. It was great to finally see it.
There were some intense scenes in that.
It's a heavy one. Yeah.
A couple parts. You got to look away. Interstellar in 2014. Christopher Nolan. I
love that reaction. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was like a satisfied groan.
Yeah.
I like that.
Was Christopher Nolan, first of all, let me ask, was he one of those guys on the list that you were like, oh, if I ever get the chance, or did you even think about that?
Yeah, I loved the way he plays with time, and I was really, really into that with all the previous movies, and yeah, he was definitely someone I was hoping to work for. I'm really surprised when he brought me in for Interstellar, and I didn't think I was on his radar at all, and had me come in and read some just science jargon. It wasn't even really a script with a plot to it. It was just a bunch to see if I could get those words out. That's one of the, I told him, and this is a funny, it's funny to me. I went to a screening of it, and he brought his friends being like Quentin Tarantino and Paul Thomas Anderson and all these great directors. And after I saw that movie, I was so moved by it, because I'm into I'm into that stuff, I'm really into the time, space, black holes, all of that stuff. I'm also into the effects on the climate. Interested in that. And I thought it was a very important movie. And I went right over to him. I didn't see anybody around him. I just went over and I said, Chris, I think this is the most important movie I've seen in a long time. And this is in front of two of my heroes, Paul Thomas Anderson in particular.
You didn't see them?
I didn't see them.
Oh.
But I sometimes think I'm never going to get work from them now. If I praise Chris Nolan in front of them, they're not giving me a job.
Maybe.
Instead of their important films,
Right. Well, yeah. Quentin Tarantino. Don't worry about it. It'll happen one day. Well, I don't know. He says he's only making one more movie. We'll see. My God. Mission Impossible Fallout. Playing Michelle Monaghan's husband. I'm trying to remember. Do we first see him when they get to that camp?
Yeah.
Where we end up finding the nuclear bombs and they take off on the helicopters. Yeah, okay. There are some things I'm sure it's just oh, this is really cool that I'm in this. But that must be a trip to be in a Mission Impossible movie.
Yeah, much like when I got Yellowstone and I've always wanted to be in Westerns. My dad loves Westerns. We used to watch Westerns a lot, and I'm like, I'm going to be a cowboy. I got the Western job. I'm like, yeah, I'm going to be a cowboy, Dad. I'm going to get to be a cowboy and Taylor Sheridan. And then they stick me in suits, and I get nowhere near a horse.
Cowboy killer.
Yeah. Much like that, I was excited to be in Mission Impossible because I thought I'd have some action scenes. I'm I'm able. And no, that didn't turn out to be true. But I was so
you wanted to hang off the side of the plane?
yeah, heck
All
yeah,
right,
man.
all
I
right.
wanted to do something. I
Put
thought
that
I was
out
gonna
into
fight
the
somebody.
universe. Maybe that will come back to you. You got to make it.
I definitely was pushing McHugh on that one. I was honored to be a part of that, and you know, it was that was intimidating to come on to because, like you said, I was basically in one couple scenes out there on that one day, out in one location, and it's with Tom Cruise and Michelle Monaghan and
Ving Rhames.
Ving Rhames, everyone, yeah. And Tom did the best thing for me. I came on and they were like a crew. It's like coming on to a show and like you're the new guy. And they've got their thing down. They've got the flow down. Everyone knows what's up. I do not. So I come in trying to like figure out, and I hadn't got a chance to really dig into which way this could go. And Tom did a great thing with me. He spent time on set while they were setting up. We just sat in a room and worked it out. And he like guided me through it to bring me up to the speed and what they needed. And it was so generous of him to do that and made the scene really interesting because I think I alone would have botched it a bit or would not have come off like it did, and it really worked out. And I got to thank him for that.
Well, that generosity goes a long way.
Yes.
I mean, yeah, especially stepping on that was the sixth movie?
Sixth
Seventh?
one,
I don't know.
Yeah, sixth, I think.
There will be many more. Okay, let's talk American Horror Story. Whoa. Not one, not two, but three. Well, three shows, four characters, technically.
Yeah.
Let's go through them here. Edward Mordrake in Freak Show. Well, let's just start there.
Yeah.
We'll just go one by one. Freak Show was indeed a freak show.
Yes.
What I don't know. What's that set like? What's the mood, the tone?
The Freak Show set or Horror
Yeah,
Story?
Freak Show.
Oh, it was great. We had we had the tallest guy in the world, the shortest woman in the world. We had a woman with no legs. We had all kinds of people with all these, and they were the best. They had such the best energy. We'd all hop in the van together to go to set. The tallest guy all the way in the front, obviously. We were all shoved to the back, and it was great. It was like I was never going to be able to work with actors like that, or not often, right? Sure. And so it was just great to see, and they brought so much to the set. And that show is a very difficult show to shoot with long hours, blood and mist and
a lot at night, right?
Yeah, a lot of nights. Yeah, exactly. And they were great. Yeah, and it was magical that one, I thought, because one night I was walking to the set. We were in the middle of nowhere in Louisiana, and I was walking to the set behind George, who's the tallest in the world, and Giotto was next to him, and they were in silhouette because there was a light from the set beaming on them at me, and it was like this. It was so eerie. It was beautifully eerie. Yeah.
Yeah, that show. I don't know. Do any of you rewatch seasons of American Horror Story?
Yeah.
Really?
Oh wow.
I'm intrigued by that. I've asked that somewhere else before, like when a group of friends, and they're like, one and done. Because it's like such psychological torment to go through. Did you feel any of that from this particular character?
Not from Mordrake. I wasn't so freaked out by him too much, but the next one, was.
John Lowe in Hotel.
Yeah, Hotel.
I mean, Hotel in general.
Thank you.
It makes me think twice. Certainly, any hotel I now walk into, there's just like an extra. You just look around a little more,
Yeah. Oh yeah.
You just look around a little more.
Yeah.
For sure.
Anything off? Yeah.
Yeah. But incredible cast in that one.
God, yeah.
That's.
Lady
Is
Gaga.
that her acting debut? Is what I was trying to think.
I don't think so, but I don't know. I can't say
I
for
can't.
sure.
Yeah,
I
but
don't-
anyway,
yeah,
she was
amazing.
fantastic in the role.
She really was, and we commiserated a lot, her and I, about things to do and whatnot. And she was great, but that was a very it was, that's a dark one. That was psychological horror. When I sat with Ryan about that season, he basically just asked me, "What kind of horror do you like?" There's so many genres of it, and The Shining is actually my favorite movie of all time. Yeah. And and I was like, I kind of want something. I feel like that's what I'd love to be a part of. And so he had already been kind of working on the Hotel Cecil, which is what it's based on, that hotel in downtown LA where weird stuff had been happening forever. And so they went with that, and I had nightmares. My son, who was only like, I don't know how old he was, but 5 or younger, I remember he came crawling into my bed one night, as he would often do, but I thought it was someone attacking my wife. And I grabbed him, and I went like this to throw him until I realized he was small. And I was like, oh my God. And I held on to him for a second. I wasn't going to throw him against the wall or anything. I was just getting him off my wife to down here. And as I moved, I realized he was there, and it was like, wow, this is getting to my dreams and everything now. So it affected me.
Yeah.
But yeah, the cast on that's great. Sarah's amazing to work with. She's just, I've never had someone cry so hard the tears shoot across the room at me, like, and hit me.
Wow.
She's got targeted tear work. But yeah, it was heavy, and it was a lot. That was a lot of shooting. That was the one where we would go 20-hour nights. And
Oof.
I got 40 pages the night before I had to do them one night. 14. I'm sorry, 14.
Still, 14, that's a lot.
And it was a big scene where it was the reveal. And so it was like, it was a challenge, but I did my best, yeah.
Well, you did just fine with that. You did just fine. Roanoke, which you were also on, here's the two characters, Dylan and Ambrose White. I think it's one of my favorite seasons because of just what I didn't see coming.
Oh, yeah. That's cool.
Okay, so take us into that. Not one, but two characters.
Yeah, and really my focus became on the Scottish brogue, or not Scottish, sorry, the Yorkshire accent we put on, and Kathy and I literally spent days and days and days just trying to work on that.
Kathy Bates.
Kathy Bates,
No big
sorry.
deal.
Kathy Bates.
Just name dropping over here. Yeah.
Yeah, getting this like.
It was your second one with her.
Yeah. No, was that my first with her? No, she was in a hotel. Sorry, she was in second. I don't think Freak Show she was in, but we didn't have.
You weren't sure.
Yeah,
Right.
Yeah. But the intensely time I really worked with her intensely, because hotel we had passing by things, but this was where we were directly, and that was a dream come true. She's one of those actors, as a young actor, that inspired me.
I mean, Misery is incredible film. She's
truly
iconic in that. Okay, so then we'll jump ahead a few years. We're up to Yellowstone now, and this Jamie Dutton. What do you think has been his defining moment?
Oh, I think that's a good question, because I am, I have him from my perspective, right? So I have my moment, but defining moment. I'm sorry to be pausing, but I'm trying to go through them all now, and because you know what's
been a lot.
Yeah, there've been a lot. That's really one of the great things and challenging things that Taylor's done for me with Jamie, is that every scene is a big moment for him, and like when he realized he wasn't a Dutton. I often go back to that scene when he's looking at that paper, because of everything that was going through me, it was just all these crazy emotions. It was anger tied to hate, tied to despair, tied to an emptiness I'd never really felt in my own life, and I think from that moment on, Jamie started to, he's really started to go downhill. So I think where we're heading is most informed by that moment, even more than any interaction with Beth or anything else, even his youth. I think it's that moment he realized he's not even a Dutton. Yeah, it was crushing.
Yeah. Okay, so we just went through a bunch of roles, but then I wonder, are there any roles that aren't on the list that you wish were? Anything that got away?
A lot got away. Early days after American Beauty, I said no to a lot of stuff, mostly out of fear, some out of principle. I was really trying to we were coming out of the 90s, and the emphasis was on the independent films and quality storytelling and innovative filmmaking and smaller films, and so that was where my North Star was. And right after American Beauty is when that all changed. Gladiator that year, and then Transformers, and all this franchise tentpole stuff came out, and comic book movies. And there were comic book movies. I don't regret saying no to them. Spider-Man was one, but things like that. I don't regret that.
You just brushing by that, like
yeah.
He said no to Spider-Man.
I did. I said no to Spider-Man because at the time it was like there weren't great. There were some good comic book movies, but it wasn't like a guaranteed thing like it is now. Right. And also, I didn't want to play a superhero. I was coming, like I said, out of the 90s when we were looking to get away from that.
Yep.
And but there are roles that I that I think that I was, it's more that they weren't offers, but I was in the mix for and I could have pushed to get. And one was, I thought I understood it to be Big Fish, which I think is a great movie. And I guess I had a chance at that, but I ignored it so completely that I didn't even know I had a chance at that. And there were a lot of movies in that time period that are like that. But that's one that sticks out because it's Tim Burton and it's a great story. And I love that movie. And I'm trying to think of others. I know there are others, but I'm sort of blanking. It was so, it kind of felt like everything in town was coming to my door at that point, and I just ran away to the hills.
Well, I mean, I can't imagine. Yeah, you're going to have a lot of scripts to sort through, I'm sure. Has this increased the number of scripts coming your way?
I believe so. I try to stay disconnected from the business aspect. I hire good people for that. I understand that, there are, when we fear that Jamie's going to be killed off, I'm always like, what's going to happen next? What do we got? And, he assures me that there's plenty there now. So I feel confident in
Getting
his,
the thumbs
his
up
word. Good. And I think it, I'm glad I turned all that stuff down, by the way. I want to go back to that for a second because I don't regret that. My regrets in life don't have to do with that. Those are just choices, right? And I've gotten lucky and I've had people in the business who continued to want me to work. And the same people who started me off. Deb Zane is a casting director who got me American Beauty or helped me get American Beauty, and she brought me onto Hunger Games. She got me a show that didn't end up going called Tilda when I was not having any luck. And so I leaned on them, and they gave me the career I really have wanted. Coming full circle, I feel like TV is now what the 90s were, right? It's real diversity in storytelling. And getting to play a character like Jamie, I don't know in the mid-2000s if that would have happened. So I am happy to have come to here, and I'm happy about where I'm going. So. But it's on him to get me the next job.
Nice work. Well, last thing here, as you know, we are with the SCAD students, and just in general, SCAD's story changes. It's constantly growing and evolving, just as the outside world and the business does. So as you look back, and this is the real moment for advice for students, what part of your story did you find the most challenging, but now realize it was crucial to where you are today?
Well, I was a drug addict for a while, and I'm clean now. I've been clean for over 10 years. I can't remember the years now. 14. Thank you.
That's great.
It was. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. It was terrifying. I thought I was dead. Thought it was all over. I took a job thinking it was going to be maybe my last job, and I'd become a drug dealer and a DJ or something like that. And I met my future wife on that show, and it saved me. Partially saved me. You have to save yourself, by the way. Yeah. I say that, but the truth is, for anyone out there ever struggling, it is something you have to find in yourself. So she inspired me, I should say, to save my own life. And it was terrible to go through that. Very embarrassing. Luckily, it wasn't public. This was kind of this is TMZ era, but I wasn't a TMZ guy. But it was pre-social media being. Sure. So I kind of escaped the visualization of me in that state, and I'm grateful for that. But for the most part, and I'm grateful for that. But I learned a lot out of that. I learned about a lot of struggles that I didn't have before that. It's not that I'm saying you go there to get your struggles, but I'm just trying to take the silver lining, right? And I took that moment, and instead of feeling embarrassed about it and hide it from everyone, I decided I'm going to go out and just tell everybody. I'm going to go tell everyone. So I made it public. And I wanted to just share that because Downey Jr. made it public, and he also was someone who I saw, and I thought, oh, he can do it. Maybe I can do it. And so and in life, what I've learned is that that's the most important thing, is inspiring others to be better. And if that's in my acting, that's great. But I've learned that the truth is, it's really in your life where that happens, with your own kids and with the kids I met today. I just that's what I've learned from that, and I use it in my acting a little bit. But you don't need all that. You don't need to actually go through that horror. Those feelings are in you anyway. But I can use them, and we can all use our dark sides and our embarrassing histories or whatnot. We can use them as actors. I mean, that's what we're doing, and or you can use whatever's inside of you that is feeling whatever feeling. What am I saying? There's no limit to this. You are expressing, and what's moving people is that it's allowing them to open up. In the real world out there, in those jobs and everything they're trying to do, they have to shut those down constantly to get business done, to communicate with people. But we as actors, what they're moved by is our expression, our openness, our ability to tap into all those scary places or funny places.
Well, thank you for sharing that over the years and again with everyone here tonight. Congratulations on everything, and thank you so much for being here tonight.
I appreciate you. Thanks for having me.
Wes Bentley.
Thanks, guys.